Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest edition of An Englishman, an Irishman, and a Load of Bollocks. Today's podcast, we're going to talk, let's call it maybe a John O'Groats to Land's End Odyssey. Should we call it that, Paul? Because
yeah, that sounds perfect. Yeah, that sounds about right, doesn't it, Dylan?
Yeah.
Is that good with you, Dylan? Yeah. So for anybody who's listening, Paul is joined today by his 7-year-old boy called Dylan. And they've just come back from a trip from John O'Groats down to Land's End. So we thought we'd do a little podcast, find out what Paul and Dylan thought about the trip, any interesting things that happened along the way, the places they went to, and the people they met. So it's gonna be all about you and Dylan, this one, Paul. So I'm gonna hand over to you. So, pretty general question: how was the trip?
How was the trip, Dylan?
The trip was brilliant.
Oh wow, that's brilliant, Dylan. Okay, so what was your best memory of the trip? Should we start with that first?
It was like going to Big Ben.
Okay.
He loved London. Yeah.
And spending time with my daddy.
Oh, great stuff. So, did you have lots of fun times on the trip? Then you made lots of nice memories with your daddy, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great stuff.
It was he loved London, and I was telling him there's a famous quote of, "If you're tired of London, you're tired of life." And Dylan definitely wasn't tired of London. He loved the tube. He loved being on the tube.
Yeah.
He couldn't get enough of the tube. He loved people watching and hopping on the tube and hopping off the tube and going to the next stop.
And I like to go on the escalators.
Oh, down the escalator. Oh, yeah, really deep, really, especially we went really undergrad. And you know, so it was really wonderful. Yeah, you loved. You were
big escalators, aren't there, Dylan, on the London Underground? They go on forever, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot of Irish built them.
So what we'll do then, Dylan, I know you're going to be beside your daddy for this podcast, aren't we? So what we'll do is we'll chat, and every now and again we're going to bring you in and ask what you think of the trip. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're the main star of this podcast. This is Dylan's podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Okay then, right. So as I say, this is we're going to call it John O'Groats to Land's End Odyssey. So Paul went with Dylan. Is Dylan 7? Is he, Paul? Yeah, is that right?
7, yeah. Nearly 8.
7, aren't you, Dylan? Yeah. Okay. So Paul and Dylan went on a trip from John O'Groats to Land's End. I would suggest, Paul, it's a trip that is very captivating and is in the minds of many people, and it has a certain kind of it conjures up certain images, and I think a lot of people have it on their to-do list, don't they? But you've actually done it with Dylan, so tell us about how the trip started.
Yeah, it was an epic trip, wasn't it, Dylan? Yeah, it was magical and wonderful, and it was definitely one for the memory, Dave, and it was definitely one for the memory for Dylan. We had a wonderful time, as you say, crossed John O'Groats down to Land's End, just under 900 miles. We did it via, didn't we, Dylan? Trains, planes, automobiles, taxis, and we used our legs as well. We did a bit of trekking. No, and apparently, I think
buses.
Oh yeah, don't forget the
buses,
bus. The 8.5 hour bus. So I think apparently, Dylan, remember we read in the museum at Land's End, 3,000 people per year do the grueling trip. And and do you remember, Dylan, we read about one fella did it running backwards.
Yeah.
You know, he must have been a bit mad, wasn't he? So we did it via public transport. So, but we should be proud of ourselves.
I one done it on the John Deere.
Oh, a John Deere tractor, yeah. I wanted a rollerblade.
Even better.
Yeah, that must have been a farmer. So we're part of that exclusive club now, Dylan, that we've done John O'Groats to Land's End. But look, it was wonderful to create the memory, Dave. It really was. And it was just enjoying those moments with Dylan, wasn't it, Dylan? We loved each other's company. And because I was only thinking during the trip, as I was looking at you, Dylan, during one of those long train journeys, that you're 7 now, and before a blink of an eye, you'll be 17 one day. And a blink of another eye, you'll be 27. And I was thinking, there's a song called The Cat in the Cradle. And it talks about father and sons and how kids grow up and that you have to enjoy every moment with them. And we did, didn't we? And I have to say, Dylan was the best travel companion. He was easygoing. he went with the flow, because the trip was hard at times, Dave, and we'll go into detail soon about the trip, the logistics of the trip. But, it was grueling at times. We were on the go a lot of the times, but you never complained, Dylan. So fair play to you, great lad. We chatted a lot, didn't we, on the train, because we had a lot of time together. So Dylan bought a Match magazine, Match and Shoot magazine. So we went through that with Dylan.
Yeah.
And he got loads of stickers.
Yeah.
And tell Dave what players he got.
I got Luis Figo.
Luis Figo. He got one of the old style players.
Oh, yeah. Iconic old school player there, yeah. Absolutely.
Delight with that. So yeah, we chatted a lot and we laughed and we watched the world go by, I suppose. But as I said, we were keeping on the move. We were going to the next destination, so that was great. And I suppose the trip, Dylan, sure it wasn't really about getting A to B. I wasn't that much of a stickler either. Like, that was the plan, but it was the in-between bits, wasn't it, Dylan? The traveling, the people. We met some great characters and people on the way, and we came across loads of wonderful cities of Britain, didn't we? Inverness, Edinburgh, London, and down to Penzance, and the scenery.
And Exeter.
Oh, Exeter was lovely, wasn't it? Remember the lovely cathedral there? You loved that. And then there was the scenery we saw. So in ways, Dave, it was a slow but also very fast-moving trip. So yeah, the logistics involved, we did it on a budget, didn't we? We didn't go. It wasn't fancy-wancy, was it?
No.
So we flew into. Where did we fly into, Dylan? From Dublin. On Thursday, wasn't it?
Flight into Edinburgh.
Oh yeah, Edinburgh. And I know, Dave, you've a brother in Edinburgh, is that correct?
I do, yeah. I've got a brother in Edinburgh, and he's a pilot, actually, Dylan.
Oh,
yeah.
Pilot.
He flies planes, yeah. Did you enjoy so the first part of the trip then, Dylan, was the flight over to Edinburgh. How was the flight? Was it exciting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like flying? Do you like being on a plane?
Yeah, and the flight was late, and it was at 7:15, but then we had to leave at 8:16.
Oh,
right, okay. So you were fashionably late then into
Edinburgh.
Yeah.
I was getting a bit panicky there, Dylan, wasn't I? Because I was thinking we have a connection. We need to get a bus. And you know why it was delayed is that Air Force One was in Dublin Airport, because that's I won't go into too much detail. I won't have a rant about Joe Biden, but Joe Biden was in Ireland at the time, and we actually saw. Remember I was telling you, Dylan, we saw the American president's plane. So there was just a delay with planes leaving the airport, I think, with security. So
well, Paul, can I just say you timed your trip perfectly there. Get out of Ireland while that nasty piece of work was in your country.
I heard it was cringing, and the Irish obviously played a blinder in terms of we really do let ourselves down the international stage. The old Paddy tipping his hat to the Yank. But anyway, we got to Edinburgh, Dylan, didn't we? And then we had to get a tram, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was our first. So second.
I think it was the tram into, where is it?
St Andrew's Square, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
In Edinburgh, and we just had an hour in Edinburgh, and we just did it. We went around Princess Street, didn't we? And then you got a picture outside a famous hotel, the Balmoral Hotel, fabulous hotel, wasn't it? And then we got a bus from Edinburgh. Where did that bus go to, Dylan?
To I forgot.
Inverness.
Oh,
remember Inverness? Yeah. Remember saying
Inverness was lovely.
Oh, it was really nice.
So that was a long journey then, was it, on the bus?
Yeah, it was. Yep. That was 4 hours, Dylan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But we were excited. We were just looking out the window, big happy heads in us.
Well, it was kind of 3 hours.
Was
it?
3.5. 3.5. And then we really liked Inverness, the capital of the Highlands. And I remember I was telling you about the Loch Ness Monster. There's a monster near a lake there.
Yeah. It looks like a dinosaur.
It does look like a dinosaur, a long neck, yeah.
Did you see it, Dylan? Did you see the Loch Ness Monster or?
No.
No. He was in there somewhere though, probably, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's probably in there. So go on, carry on talking then. So you
went. What was the next page then, Dylan? We went then from Inverness to where was the next place?
Inverness to Wick.
Wick, yeah, and that's really up north, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we went through the Highlands on a bus, and the scenery was just amazing. Yeah. I mean, I was annoying you, Dylan, because you wanted to look at your football magazine, and I kept tipping you, Dylan, look at that mountain, look at that river, look at the sea. But it was great, wasn't it? The scenery was wonderful.
And then in Wick we got a hotel.
Oh yeah, that was fancy, wasn't it? And we got to the hotel. That was another 3-4 hours from Inverness to Wick. That was another 3-4 hours. So we arrived in Wick at around 8. We left that morning. We left Dublin at 5 o'clock that morning, our flight was at 7 o'clock that morning, and then we arrived in Wick at 8 o'clock that night. But we had a nice accommodation, didn't we? So we stayed the night. We potted around Wick. Wick is a nice town, wasn't it? And didn't we see that Wick is in the Guinness Book of Records? It has the shortest, what Dylan, remember what
The shortest street.
Shortest street in the world, Ebenezer Street. So there you go.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Dylan, you've told me something new there. I did not know that.
Yeah.
You could be a good podcast host one day, you Dylan, by the way. You're really good at this.
He's smiling, good lad. And then
so how long did it take you to walk along the shorter street then? And was there anything interesting on the shorter street?
It was part of it was a hotel, wasn't it? It was just the door entrance of a hotel.
Yeah.
I don't know how it worked, but it was interesting. We took a picture, didn't we? Yeah. And we had a lovely breakfast then, didn't we? The next morning. So the next day was the big one.
I had porridge.
Oh yeah, you were very
Classic
healthy.
Scottish breakfast there.
Yeah. We had to, yes.
Yeah.
And I did Scottish full Irish, a Scottish full breakfast.
Like a hybrid breakfast.
Yeah, it was a Celtic breakfast.
Yeah.
And you went very healthy with your porridge, and you had honey and tea. And do you remember they were lovely as well? The staff were really nice. Remember, you couldn't understand their strong Scottish accents, but do you remember you were telling them that we're doing John O'Groats Land's End, and they said, for your trip now today, take a few yogurts there and pastries, and they packed a little lunch for us, didn't they? That was very kind of them. Yeah. And that was a common theme, wasn't it? People were very good to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very good to you, which was really good to see. So then we tell them about Hugh MacDonald, the great and legendary Hugh MacDonald of Wick.
So he is a taxi driver, and he brought us to John O'Groats.
Yeah. He was lovely, wasn't he?
Why was he good then? Tell me about him, Dylan. What was good about him?
He's a very chatterbox.
Was
he? Yeah. What was he talking about then?
He was talking about he was showing us around Scotland.
Showing us the castles, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he was telling us about a pipeline. Remember, they were working on a pipeline in the North Sea, and there was loads of workers there. And wasn't he lovely? And he was telling us about his lovely grandchild, Eva, and he's just a lovely, soft Scottish accent, didn't he? And he was in his 70s, and he couldn't get any more Scottish, could you, Dylan? And Hugh MacDonald, and he was proud of his land, wasn't he? Proud of his country. And he brought us. We got a taxi then from Wick, because there's no. It's you're in the wilderness up there, Dave.
Wick to Land's End.
Wick to John O'Groats. And that took. I think it was 16 miles, Dylan. And fair play to him. He stayed in the taxi when we got there, and he said, "You can stay as long as you want, lads, and you can bring food into the taxi for the way back." So we got to John O'Groats, and that was the first satisfaction, wasn't it, Dylan?
And then I got a brownie and chocolate milk.
Yeah, that was it was an accomplishment.
Getting better and better. Can I just say about Hugh MacDonald, the taxi driver? I half hope he's listening to this podcast, because I think Paul and Dylan, I think you're selling his taxi service exceptionally well here. So I hope he's listening. I hope his customers are listening as well.
Well, he's Scottish. Listen, they're always looking for money, aren't they? The Scots are looking for a deal. And but it was a wonderful being at John O'Groats, and we could see the Orkney Islands, couldn't we?
Yeah.
You could see the Orkney Islands. And,
really? You could see. Yeah. Was the weather good then up there? Was it quite clear?
It was sunny, wasn't it, Dylan?
Yeah.
Weather wasn't too bad, and we stayed around. It wasn't about, Dylan, a half an hour. We were at John O'Groats, and we did the pictures at the famous sign. And one of the signs said Land's End.
It was in I think it was
856 miles, something like that.
856 miles.
And we said we need to turn around and go there. That's where we're going next. So we said,
I think it was 76.
Oh, it was 800. You're right. And we said, you put your foot on.
How far was it?
876
miles.
Right. I didn't know that either, Dylan. I'm learning lots about this trip from you here.
So we said, you put your foot on it. We need to go back to Wick to get a train. So you was very good, wasn't he? So we went back then to Wick, and we potted around. We went to a lovely museum in Wick as well. It was a heritage museum.
It was about the olden days. There's the school, and I was sitting down on the desk, and Daddy was the principal.
Really? Yeah. Wow.
Pointed my finger at you, saying, "Quiet, please. Quiet in this room."
Yeah, right. Do your lines on the blackboard. You
Yeah.
don't have to say that anymore. Sorry, but yeah. So two things that come to mind, first of all, on the first leg of your trip. Dylan, first of all, I've learned two new things from you today, and your trip sounds amazing. But the first thing I would say is that you can underestimate how large the UK is, because I still think of it as quite a small island, and in the grand scheme of things, it really is. But it's nearly 1,000 miles from top to toe, isn't it? So that's the first thing. So it's actually quite a lot of miles that you traverse there. And Paul, the second thing is that there must have been a certain poignancy, and I can never say that word, poignancy, to the trip, that you've done that with Dylan, and it must have stirred up memories of your own father, I guess. Going to the UK and doing like a famous trip and seeing lots of lovely places, and seeing the effect it had on Dylan. So just thought I'd ask you about that.
No, it was very poignant, wasn't it, Dylan? And I think I said to you, didn't I, Dylan? I was thinking of my father, your grandfather, and I was kind of emotional as well, because I know he would have loved the idea of us doing this trip together, and he would have been taking a huge interest in it. So it was lovely to kind of create this memory for you and spending quality time with you and chatting, as I said, chatting and laughing, and also the sense of accomplishment of getting from John O'Groats to Land's End and all the in-between bits, as I said. And yeah, it was very poignant, and it was, as I said, it was a very special trip, and for a special lad. It was great.
Brilliant.
What was the next bit then, Dylan? We got to Wick, and we'd go Wick back to Inverness, didn't we, on the train?
Yeah, and
that was 4 hours, wasn't it, on the train?
Was 4 hours.
And the scenery was remember, actually, we must tell Dave, do you remember we went on that trip, because it was on the train, we went through the Scottish Highlands, and what animals did we see?
A deer.
Wild deers.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And we saw, it was in the wilderness, wasn't it, Dylan? And we saw loads of farmers herding their sheep, and what else did we see?
We saw, I think I saw a chicken.
Probably, yeah.
Chicken.
Farms.
Yeah. Did you see forests? There was a lot of forests, like pine forests.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you see rivers, Dylan?
Yeah. Some, like little ones.
Yeah. And the weather was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then we went back to one of your favorite cities of the trip, back to Nessie. Good old Inverness, didn't we?
Inverness,
so we were back in Inverness. Inverness was kind of the main kind of point of Scotland, and that was still quite north, wasn't it, Dylan?
Well, so Paul, you're an Inverness regular now,
I'm an Inverness regular.
You're a face in Inverness now, you are.
Inverness, yeah. And we were actually just saying, do you remember we went to a Wetherspoons, because we didn't have much time, and we got a pizza. We had to eat quick to get the next leg of our journey. And do you remember, Dylan, we were just noticing there was a good vibe to the city, wasn't there? We're walking around, it was Friday night, a lot of young people around having fun. Just a nice feel. I remember there was lovely daffodils along the River Ness.
Oh yeah.
I remember we saw the rabbits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The rabbits.
The rabbits in Inverness. And then tell Dave about this was the big one. This was the biggie. What was the next leg of the journey? Inverness
to London.
London town, yeah.
Wow.
And what was the train called? Do you remember what it was called?
It's called I knew it was something sleeper.
The Caledonian Sleeper, wasn't it?
Oh, you're the Caledonian Sleeper. Wow. You've got to tell me about this, Dylan. I am very, very envious of you. I need to hear all about it.
And to get there is 12.5 hours.
Is it?
Yeah.
12.5 hours? So what was it like then did you get on at Inverness? So what was it like when you got on the train? What was the train like, first of all, then?
It was very fancy.
Was it?
Yeah.
So
did you have your own room, did you? You and your daddy have your own room?
Well, there's like comfy seats.
Yeah. We're hardcore, Dylan. Yeah, we did the seats, didn't we, for 12 hours? Remember there was a group of American tourists.
Oh and they wanted a bed.
Yeah, and we were looking. They were young. We were thinking, nah, it's not for us. We'll do this the right way, wouldn't we? Yeah. So it was.
Yeah,
it was
the proper
way of traveling.
Yeah,
none of that comfort stuff. And Dylan plays hurling, so he's tough. He's seen worse. And football, you do. So it was 12.5 hours, but it was comfortable, and it left Inverness at 8:45, wasn't it, Dylan, that night, Friday night? and we just whistled down to London. And we arrived in London at around 9 o'clock, I think, the next
I
morning.
think it was like 8 something.
Yeah, I think it was about 8:50. And the trip went well, and you slept for a few hours, and I slept. And do you remember you got a hot chocolate before you went to
Oh,
bed on
yeah.
the train? And that kind of set you on your way, and we were well rested. And then we arrived in one of the great cities of the world, didn't we? London.
London.
And you were never in London before,
No.
so you loved it, didn't you, Dylan?
So it was your first time in London then, Dylan, yeah?
Yeah.
And
So
tell
what
Dave
was
where you went in London.
What was
Oh,
the
sorry,
first?
Dave.
What was the first thing? What was the first thing that you saw in London that you thought, "Wow, this place is amazing"? What was the first thing that captured your imagination?
The first thing that I saw was Hamleys.
Is that the what? Is that the what's Hanley's? Did you say?
Hamleys.
Is that the toy shop?
Yeah.
Oh, did you go to Hamley's? Yeah, I've been to Hamley's. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it good?
Yeah. And
Great.
then
That was on
and
Oxford
then-
Street, was it?
yeah.
Regent Street, yeah.
Regent Street. Yeah. Okay.
And then I think we went to Big Ben.
Oh yeah, Big Benny. And Dave is from Liverpool. And do you remember we went to a famous part of London that there's a famous band and there's a famous road.
Oh yeah.
What was the road called?
What was it?
Begins with an A.
Begins with an A.
Um
And you walked across the zebra
I
crossing.
know what
You can picture it, can't you?
yeah.
Abbey
Abbey Road.
Road.
Abbey
Yeah.
Road. Yeah. Well, I've never been there. Was that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember you walked across the zebra
Yeah.
crossing? You were doing your
And
George
there's
Harrison.
and I had my Man United jersey on, and there's another person that had a Man United jersey on.
You were delighted, weren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, did you meet the other one? Did you? The other one was in London, was he, Dylan? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bought
Oh.
the Man United jersey, didn't you, in
Yeah.
London? Where did you buy it?
Camden Town.
Camden Town. And we went to, and remember we went.
And I got shorts for 30
Yeah.
for 30
See,
pounds.
he saw you, like you haggled them, didn't you, Dylan? You haggled them. And remember in Camden Town then, I was telling you that there's different pubs in Camden. What it used to be, there was one for the Scotch, and that was called the Edinburgh Arms. And then there was a pub for the Welsh called the Pembroke
And there's,
Arms. Remember there was a Dublin Castle?
yeah,
And I was saying that's where the Irish drink.
Say.
And remember I was telling you, there's a band called Madness.
Oh,
And they used to play in this pub, the Dublin Castle.
Did
Remember
they?
we were doing the impressions of Madness, one step beyond, the famous kind of the walking movement of the band. So we were in London for the day. What didn't
Yeah.
we? And you saw Harrods.
and
didn't you?
then we went to what was it called again? What's the house where the queen used to live?
Buckingham
Buckingham
Palace.
Palace.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't do a thumbs down because I was saying, do a thumbs down, Dylan, when you're at Buckingham Palace. Do a thumbs down. You couldn't do it, could you? You couldn't do it. You were very respectful, and so you should be. And so we were in London for the day, weren't we, Dylan? And then we had to go to Victoria Coach
Wait.
Station. Oh, go on, yeah.
We went to London Bridge too.
Oh yeah. London Bridge is falling down, falling down.
Sounds like you. It sounds like you did absolutely loads in London. So
We
you
did.
did
Yeah.
Abbey Road, you did Buckingham Palace, you did Hamleys, you did London Bridge, you did
Yeah.
Big Ben. So that's 5 things already that you did in London. You did
Yeah.
really. You did a lot, didn't you? So did you
Yeah.
like London then? Was it a good city? Would you go back, Dylan?
Yeah.
You would
I'd
do,
go
yeah.
back.
What did you
Yeah.
like most about London then? And also, what was different to London than to Scotland?
Well, London was much bigger and
Yeah.
much busier.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your favourite thing about London then? So it was big and busy. What did you like most? What was your favourite memory from London, would you say?
Well, I kind of liked it all.
You liked it all, but if you had to pick one thing, or do you not want to? If you don't want to pick one thing, don't have to. But if there
That'd
is
be one thing.
Okay. Probably Big Ben.
Big Ben. And I know
Big
why
Ben.
you like Big Ben, because Dylan loves drawing, and you're very talented at
And
drawing.
I drawn it Big
I've
Ben.
seen
You drew-
your art,
Drew
Dylan.
Big
You're
Ben.
brilliant.
So I think he was amazed that I drew this, and then he saw it for real, and it was amazing,
And it
wasn't it?
looked exactly the same
Looked exactly
as my
Same,
picture.
yeah.
I know, both very good. So then, do you remember we had to go to Victoria coach
Victoria
station
Coach Station.
at 10 o'clock, or it was for 10:30. We had to be there for half 10,
10
and we got a bus
in the
then.
night to
So 10:30 at night to, what was the next?
Penzance.
Penzance down in West Cornwall.
So another
And that-
long journey then.
Another long one, and that was 8.5 hours. But that flew by, didn't it, Dylan?
Yeah,
I
like
think
the
it was
5 hours was really it just flew by.
no, it did. Those 8 hours flew by, and do you know what,
Was that a
Dylan? It was.
bus
Do you
or
know
a
what?
train? Sorry, was that a train you got to
Or a
Penzance?
bus. A
Oh, a
bus.
bus, right? Okay,
A
yeah,
bus.
right.
And do you know
Yeah.
what, Dylan? What did we observe about the drivers? So we got on 3 buses during the trip, 2 in Scotland and 1. What did we observe about the drivers? They were all
I forget.
women. That was unusual, wasn't it?
Were
That's
they? Yeah.
all, we got
Not
3.
all of them.
We got 3 buses, and for the long journeys,
Not
and they're all
all,
3
though.
more. No,
But when we went to Dublin City,
oh yeah, that was when we were coming home. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When we
that
were in
was a
Dublin,
boy.
there was when we were coming home, we had to get the bus. There was a male driver, but yeah. And then the trip, it went quick. Do you know why it went quick? Because we walked all over London, didn't we? So we were tired when we got on the bus. We were wrecked. We were tired. So we kind of the 8.5 hours went really quick. And we were excited as well, knowing that this is it, we're last leg, and we were thinking of what we've seen in the last 2 days, and we were going further south, and then we landed in Penzance at 9 o'clock that morning.
Yeah.
And remember, we went across to a nice pub that was open, and we got Cornish tea. Remember, there was a nice tea pub with Cornish tea.
And porridge.
And again, more porridge, fill our stomachs up for the last trek.
Was
And
it
you
as
got
good,
honey, didn't
Dylan?
you?
Was it as good as the porridge in Scotland? Which porridge was better, the Cornish porridge or the Scottish porridge? It's a big question, that, isn't it?
That is, yeah.
It's a big question.
I liked the one in Penzance.
Oh, that's controversial there.
Really?
The
Yeah,
Scottish
that's
are
very
famous for their porridge.
controversial, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
The
good.
Scottish tourist board are going to be disappointed in you now,
Yeah.
Dylan, because you've sold them really well
But
here.
I
But
kind
I'll
of
let
say
you off
both.
with that one.
Oh, you're saying both now. Oh, no, it's okay.
Oh,
it's
okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
No, you said it. You see, you gave your answer. So then, Dylan, weren't we? Then we had to wait around a bit, didn't we? Because it was Sunday and it was quiet.
Yeah.
And then we had to again the last leg of the journey, which was the most important one, which was we'd go to Land's End.
Yeah.
And it was really misty and foggy, but that made it more atmospheric. It was more.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool, wasn't it?
And then
So we got. Oh, sorry.
And then we got a picture at Land's and
At Land's End,
then,
yeah. So it was about, wasn't it only? It was only about 8-9 miles from Penzance to Land's End. And we get a little bus, but do you remember the little roads we'd go down, and it was only allowed one-way traffic, and it was really misty and one lanes, and we were kind of meandering around these lanes, and then remember he dropped us off about half a mile outside Land's End. He
Yeah.
said you have to walk, but that was cool, wasn't it? Because we were really excited, and we were kind of running up and kind of
then
excited.
there's like a sign or a stone that said welcome to Land's End.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of Daddy, and he looked like a small person. He looked
Thanks.
small.
Yeah, the stone was nearly taller than me. Yeah.
It
It was. Thanks, Dylan. Yeah. Hey. So
How's
that
the
is
miles
true,
of
actually.
age, isn't it?
Yeah. Or maybe the stone was really big. Maybe I was leaning
It
across.
could
a
have
really
been this big,
stone.
massive monolithic kind of.
Stonehenge.
Yeah.
It's only like this size.
So,
Yeah, that
Dylan,
is
what
true,
was what was the first thing that you thought when you got to Penzance on the bus? What did you see first? Sorry, to Land's End. When you got to Land's End, what did you think first?
Well, there's like loads of like cars, and like the car had to the reserve.
Reverse.
Yeah, reverse, and then then the car had to go into like a
On the
little
ditch. Oh, that was on the
Yeah.
way, wasn't it? Because it was really tight. Because we were going down country lanes, weren't we? And that's what made it more. It was a bit like John of Groats. We were in the middle of nowhere. It
Yeah.
was like in the wilderness and in the wild, rugged countryside of
Right out
Cornwall.
on a limb, isn't it? Literally.
It really was.
Literally,
Yeah.
it's just right out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, isn't it? Yeah.
But we did a big jump, didn't we? When we got to Land's End, we did a big hooray and a big little jump in the air of satisfaction. We felt good, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we kind of give a high five and we gave each other a hug and we went, good job.
Have you told people about your trip then, Dylan, since you got back home? Have you told many people about any friends or?
I told my friends and like my teacher.
And what did they say?
They said how was the trip, and I said it was really, really good.
Good lad.
Oh, it sounds like you really enjoyed it, Dylan, and made up that you enjoyed it. And do you know what? One day I'd like to do the same trip as well, because you've done something that I've never done, and I'd love to do it. And it sounds, the way you've talked about it, and the people you met, and the places you went to, and the great times you had with your dad, it sounds like you had a great trip. So, and thanks, Dylan, for coming on the podcast and telling us all about it. And I'm sure this is going to be, I'm sure people are going to love listening to your stories of your trip. So thanks, Dylan.
Yeah.
He's smiling at you, Dave.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. And you got your Man U top as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
I guess we've got
time.
just under 7 minutes to go.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
I'm thinking, I want to hear the story about the Man U top, though.
So, like, what's that?
Well, you woke about a few months ago. Didn't you wake up? And you just said, "Daddy, I'm going to be a Man United supporter."
Yeah.
And I just said, "Son, that's okay." And to be fair,
as long as it's not Liverpool.
Yeah, that's
yes.
This would be a completely different conversation, Dylan. If you're a Liverpool fan, you understand that, don't you?
Liverpool
You're a Man U
really
fan, okay. Go on then.
Liverpool is really bad.
They are, yeah, they are. So go on, what happened? Was it in London, was it? You bought it, is that right?
Yeah, it was in Camden Town.
Camden Town, okay.
So like it's like this little shop. And like it was kind of like a little stall, and like they were
selling it for £40, wasn't it?
Selling it for £40,
okay.
And then he got a Man United short and Man United like top, and like he said it could only he's gonna sell it for 40, but he just said it could be for 30.
You charmed him, didn't you?
Yeah.
And do you remember we went to Sports Direct after to see what price it would be, and it was like £75 or £65. So we saved a bit of money, and we were able to spend that on nice food that day. Remember we went to TGI's in Leicester Square?
Oh, yeah.
It was lovely. We were able to have a nice meal then because we made a little deal.
And did you watch the Man United game? They won, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the trip.
It was 2-0 to Man United.
And do you remember, Dylan?
And also, Dylan, you did my team a favour there, because my team, Everton, we needed Man United to win against Notts Forest, and you did. So that makes me even happier. So it sounds like that was great.
It was perfect, Dylan, wasn't it? Because we were on the way home then, weren't we? After we did Land's End, we had to go back to Penzance, and we got lovely fish and chips.
Yeah, and then we went to Exeter.
To get the train to Penzance to Exeter, and that was a lovely journey. We went through Devonport and Plymouth, and one thing we noticed about Britain and we noticed about Scotland, and the Scottish are famous for their building and engineering, loads of beautiful bridges. And I was telling you about a man called Brunel. We noticed wonderful bridges that we saw, especially Fort Bridge outside Edinburgh, and also down at
Cornwall, Kingdom Brunel.
Yeah. But do you remember then when we got off the train at Exeter, I said we're going to have a celebratory drink. And we got off, and there was a pub there.
And we're looking at the Man United match.
We just got the last 10 minutes of the Man United match.
Just a glass of lemonade, I hope, Paul.
Just a glass of lemonade. Wasn't it apple juice I was drinking? Yeah, a little apple juice, and you had your little Coke.
Yeah.
And we we had a little cheers, didn't we? A little sláinte.
And then we
Oh,
went
lovely,
to
yeah,
a hotel.
Oh yeah, that was so. Yeah, didn't we have 2 nights in a
I
hotel?
forget what it's called.
The Mercure, one of those ones,
Mercure.
some kind of. So we 2 nights in a hotel, and then 2 nights. Our bed for the night was a bus and a train, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then we felt really good.
And then we got a taxi to Exeter airport.
And then back to the Emerald Isle, isn't that it?
Back to Dublin.
Back from Exeter, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good lad.
that sounds. So we've got just under 3 minutes. Dylan, this has been your podcast, and you've been absolutely brilliant, because I think everyone who listens to this will enjoy hearing your memories of your trip. So before we end the podcast in 2 minutes' time, can I ask you one last question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you had to pick one favorite memory of the trip and why it's your favorite memory, what would you say?
My daddy.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
That's a lovely way to finish.
That's really nice, yeah. I feel like we should end it there, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, we peaked. No,
We peaked. I don't know if we can go better that, can we?
That was lovely. Yeah,
that is lovely. Yeah, that is lovely. Yeah,
it was one for the memory box, wasn't it, Dylan? That trip. It was one that you'll remember for the rest of your life. And I know I was annoying you, wasn't I, taking loads of pictures? But I was saying I'm going to put this in a little book, little catalog for you. Piece something together for you, and you can. And someday, you might show your grandchildren. Who knows about a trip you did with your daddy back in 2023.
Yeah, you'll remember it, Dylan. You'll remember it forever, I'm sure. And I'm just so pleased that you had a great time. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to wind the podcast up. Dylan, you're going to sign us out though. So, the last word's going to go to Dylan. But just so I can say thanks to everyone for listening. Leave a comment wherever you're watching this. Paul and Dylan, it's over to you for the last. We've got 1 minute, just over 1 minute to sign us out.
What would you like to say, Dylan?
I had an amazing time on my trip.
Yeah. And we did. We saw the best of Britain, Dave. I know people can naturally knock their own countries, and I can knock Ireland. And I know sometimes people can knock Britain, but we did. Didn't we see the best of Britain? The best cities in the world, the best people, great food, the vibrancy, the most wonderful countryside you could ever see, especially up in the Highlands. And yeah, everything ran smoothly. Trains, you can knock out also British Rail, everything British Bus or National Express, everything ran smoothly, everything was on time. Best of Britain we saw.
So the country's not going to sing Into the Sea just yet, is it? Which is good. Dylan and Paul, thanks both of you, particularly Dylan. Thank you very much. Dylan, do you want to give us a big bye-bye to sign us out? Do you want to shout bye, everyone? Cheers, Dylan. Cheers, Paul.
Thanks.